If you've spent any time watching presuppositional apologetics, you've probably run into one name, Darth Dawkins. Now, Darth is a creationist and a fundamentalist Christian. Very vocal. So vocal he could win a shouting match with his own microphone. And for reasons I genuinely can't explain, I just kept watching his content. Not because I found the transcendental argument compelling. I watched because Darth Dawkins is basically a recurring internet villain. You know those movies that are so bad they're actually entertaining? That's what watching Darth feels like. Now, if I had to describe Darth Dawkins in one word, angry. Actually, very angry.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I have plenty of other servers that beg me to participate. I participate in this server because I was begged to come back by Saz. And I'm not going to have some fucking little prick troll me who's a mod. Now, if you want to retain me on the fucking server, you better remove his mods right now or I am gone. And I think I add, listen to me, I think I add a little bit more quality and value to this server and draw a lot of people where he does not. And the guy is deliberately fucking with me. Now I want his mods removed. Or I will remove myself and will not participate on this server, and I will compete in the competing server.
I demodded him.
Good.
Darth's whole shtick is called presuppositionalism. A presupposition is something you assume before you even start reasoning. Have you stopped cheating at cards? Notice I'm not asking if you cheated. I've already smuggled that in. The question presupposes it. You're not answering a question anymore. You're just picking your punishment. Presuppositional apologetics works the same way, with God instead of poker. Most apologists try to make the case for God by presenting evidence. Presuppositionalists take a different route. They argue that before you can even evaluate evidence, you've already borrowed God's toolkit. Without God, they say, you couldn't reason in the first place. Logic itself, the very thing you'd use to argue against them, is supposedly running on God's batteries. That's the basic idea. The rest is arguing over whether that claim actually holds up. With Darth, everything becomes presuppositional. If you point out a contradiction in the Bible, he won't explain why it isn't a contradiction. He'll instead ask, on what basis are you calling it a contradiction? If you write an entire scholarly book on the Bible using linguistics, archaeology, and ancient history, like Joshua Bowen did, Darth's response is,
But you know what? I confronted Dr. Josh Bowen tonight, saying, we talked for almost an hour and you couldn't defend the rationality of your atheism. Would you care to defend it now? And he categorically refused, and I was in enemy territory, and he wouldn't do it.
tell him you think he's a lunatic, and he will ask you on what epistemic standard you're justifying that belief.
They call me a lunatic. Okay, by what standard? By what standard do you call me a lunatic? Well, your conduct. Okay, by what standard do you judge my conduct to be problematic?
So here's Darth Dawkins' conversations pattern. Ask the other person for their worldview. Ask them to justify knowledge, logic, or morality. Claim they cannot do so without borrowing from the Christian worldview. Conclude that the Christian worldview is the necessary precondition for intelligibility. The goal is to move the discussion away from evidence for God or Christianity and onto the opponent's ability to justify their own reasoning. The moment you start asking him how he answers any of the questions, the script breaks as the interrogation becomes an actual conversation.
Is that how you do it with God?
When you assert as an atheist the sky is blue, do you by choice
How do you
not
assert the sky is
reference
blue?
God? Okay, I'll be glad to answer that question, but you have a call-in show where you're taking questions, and I'm asking you a question.
This is the prevailing paradigm in cosmology. Doesn't make it true.
Same thing with religion. Just because you're appealing,
We're not discussing that right now. We're not discussing that right now.
Because there's no proof of we're going back to this.
You're not understanding. Okay, listen to me.
Can I criticize? Are you guys all Christians?
Listen to me carefully. Okay, we can get to that in a moment.
Push on that a little too hard, and Darth has a backup plan. He won't answer you. He'll just tell you not to overtalk him, or mute you.
It's ultimate.
Then please define ultimate. You assume I'm making a stick or being performative, sir. Let me finish.
Ultimate?
Let me finish.
Ultimate? Okay, bye. Take your meds. What a nutbag.
And whenever things aren't going his way, Darth has a remarkable habit of reminding everyone how old he is.
Wrong. You're okay. All right. Wow. Okay. How old are you?
I'm 17.
Okay. You have a deeper voice. Yeah. You're quite. How shall I put this? Without sounding rude, you're quite uninformed philosophically. What you are advancing is called empiricism. Do you realize that?
Said a bunch of $5 words.
Chad, you're talking with somebody who is probably 3 times your age. Okay. Now, somebody who's 3 times your age and is fairly intelligent, fairly well informally educated, I'm not going to be easily gaslit by your little childish little antics that somebody would pull with the cafeteria table.
All right, well, let me answer you directly, Darth.
Okay.
With respect to your God, with respect to, doesn't matter how old I am. I'm old enough to know better.
I want to know what your life experiences are. Are you in your 30s, 40s, 50s?
Darth, I'm in my 40s, and I know you're in your 60s.
I'm in my 60s.
I know that.
And I
now
want to
let me answer your question.
You are. I'm too old, too educated, and too smart to be gaslit. Okay. Now, I want to know. Do you know what epistemology is, Chad?
How old are you?
16. I don't think I need to
Yeah, why am I not surprised that you would utter such an unwise statement like that?
Why is that unwise? Just I don't think I need.
Okay. Are you in the United States?
Yeah, I think as a United States
all right.
citizen,
Well, here's
as a United States citizen.
Okay, listen to me carefully. You're 16 years old. Okay, I'm going to be 60 this year. Okay, so I've been around the block a few more times than you have. Okay, so let me impart to you just a little bit of wisdom. Okay. Okay, Leo, I'm just curious. Curious. Leo, how old are you?
25.
It doesn't fucking matter how old he is.
It does matter because I deal with a lot of immature males on the internet.
And here we see the wise and mature 60-year-old man in action, demonstrating that age and maturity are, in fact, separate variables.
This is what he just said. My fault that I'm not 30 or 40 or 50. That's not my fault. That's not
Michael, please don't act like an obnoxious teenager. You think you're a badass streamer, but you're not.
All right, enough of that. Instead of watching this argument chase its own tail, let's look at 2 of the most interesting responses to Darth's case, one from T-Jump and the other from Destiny. Whether you find them convincing or not, they're among the most thoughtful attempts to tackle his argument head-on.
Yeah, I'll give an introduction.
Okay, you get started, and then Darth will follow up with his.
So as far as I know, Darth's position is that you can't justify logic, rationality, reason, etc. without appealing to a god, and I'm going to say, yes, you can. And there's several ways to do that. In philosophy, the classical way is to start with, I think, therefore I am, I exist. And then the fact that I exist, I'm a part of this reality thing. And reality is reality, so that gives us the law of identity. So we can just ground the law of logic purely based off of the fact I exist. And we know there's one reality, or at least one reality, or one of me. And so we can ground math off of the same thing, I think, therefore I am. So we can ground logic and math and rationality all purely just based off I think, therefore I am. We don't need any appeal to a god at all. And that does give us a connection to the fundamental nature of reality because, that is some connection to the fundamental nature of reality. But there's a second part is that if you think you need to appeal to the fundamental nature of reality to ground rationality, the atheist can just make up a kind of a god just like theists do. We could say it's grounded in naturalistic pantheism, which is just an eternal, all-powerful nature with no consciousness. So it's essentially just the God without the mind, and we can say there's just a law of nature that gives us rationality, and it's just the awesomeness law, and it's the greatest possible imaginable awesomeness law or whatever, and we can just make up a equivalent to the God hypothesis just under naturalism.
When you say I think therefore I am, are you making a statement of fact?
Yes.
Okay, what is the context in which that fact exists?
Reality, I think. Could you clarify?
What's that? What is that?
The stuff that exists? I'm not sure what you mean.
What is the context within which I think exists? What is it? You said reality. What is that? Excuse me.
I'd go with I could then go with the naturalistic pantheism. It's just like eternal, all-powerful nature, matter and energy and motion.
No, listen, dude. I've listened to enough of your debates. I find it really
pathetic. I'm trying to answer your question. I'm not sure.
Offering. Please do not overtalk me. Okay.
Okay. Are you there? I can't hear you.
Go ahead, T-Jump.
Well, no, I wanted to hear what Darth had to say. Is he still there? Did he stop talking?
Yeah. Why was I muted?
So yeah, I was just trying to understand what Darth's position
was. Why was I muted?
I was confused. All right, there was people over talking. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was speaking and then I got muted.
Okay. I apologize. I apologize for that. Go ahead, Darth. What were you saying?
I've heard you make up stuff all the time. It could be this, it could be this, that, whatever. I'm not really interested in your fantasies. I want to know what the ontological context of I thinking is as a fact. Do you believe that fact? I'll explain it to you. Do you believe that a fact can be invoked as actual and intelligible without context?
T-Jump argues that self-awareness is impossible to doubt. He sometimes puts it like this: I exist, and I can't think I'm wrong. From the existence of a thinking self, he moves to the existence of reality, and then to the law of identity. He argues that this is sufficient to ground logic, mathematics, and rationality without appealing to God. But he goes further. If presuppositionalists can posit God as the ultimate ground of logic, then an atheist can just as reasonably posit some necessary feature of nature, such as naturalistic pantheism, an eternal natural order, or a fundamental law, or even an undiscovered law of logic. It's important to note that his point isn't necessarily that naturalistic pantheism is true, but rather that simply asserting a metaphysical foundation is not an option uniquely available to the theist. Again, he doesn't have to establish that logic is actually grounded in one of these alternatives. He only needs to show that there are possible explanations other than God. Darth, as expected, makes his presuppositional move by asking, "What makes facts facts?" That's characteristic of his style, continually demanding deeper and deeper justification. And it never ends. He does this because he can't present a positive argument that God uniquely satisfies these demands. Instead, he relies on an endless regress of questioning. You can see this when he dismisses T-Jump's alternatives as fantasy. But why does he get to posit God as the foundation, while denying someone else the freedom to posit a different metaphysical foundation?
I'm not sure what that means. So when I say a fact is something that is true because it corresponds to reality. I don't know what you mean by context.
Okay. In order for something to be a fact, does it require ontological context?
You mean correspond to reality? Because I would say yes. Is that what you mean by context?
No, I'm just saying context. Okay. Is there a context? Is there a context in which a fact exists? Or is there no context that the fact that you're invoking is existing?
I don't know what that means. So I would say that a fact is true if it corresponds to reality. So I would say
you're not addressing my question. Okay.
I don't know how to. I don't know what
does a fact. You don't know what context means?
I don't think so. You explain it to me, because when I say context,
really,
I mean,
do me a favor. Don't play dumb.
I'm not playing dumb. I literally do not know what you mean by context.
Well, context means the ontological framework from which a fact exists in. Okay. Now, can you invoke the actuality and intelligibility of any given fact without context, or does the actuality and intelligibility of fact require context?
I'm still trying to understand what you mean. So it seems to me that what you're saying is, does a fact need to correspond to a reality to be true?
It's not what I said. It's not what I said.
I know. I'm trying to phrase it.
Does a fact require? Can we invoke the actuality and intelligibility of a fact without context, or does the actuality and intelligibility of a fact require that there be a metaphysical or ontological context or framework?
Does there need to be a fundamental nature of reality for the fact to correspond to? Yes, and I would call that context.
Okay. What is the context within the fact of I think exists within?
Whatever reality is. It doesn't tell us. It doesn't need to.
What what is that? What is that?
It doesn't tell us. For example, I think therefore I am. My mind could be purely physical.
No, I want to know. I want to know. I want to know what. I want to know. Yeah, you keep on repeating yourself.
Darth keeps asking for the context that makes the cogito "I think therefore I am" intelligible, but T-Jump's point is that the cogito doesn't depend on settling ultimate metaphysics. It's true, regardless of whether reality is material, ideal, or dualistic. Tag can't just demand a deeper foundation indefinitely. It has to eventually argue why God's foundation is uniquely necessary, rather than merely asserted. Until then, it's an interrogation, not a demonstration.
Exist. I'll try it again. Is
So
there
I started
something
with no.
Stop over talking me.
Started with no.
Is there stop over talking me? Is there something that is singularly absolute, unconditionally non-dependent, eternal without beginning, and is the beginning point and the ground and that which institutes and secures all possibility?
No, you do not need that.
The conversation is essentially a series of questions like, what is the context? What is ultimate? Is it singular? What unifies particulars? What secures possibility? What secures laws? What secures unity? What secures shared properties? Each answer is met with another demand for justification, and some insults for good measure.
What imposes that the attributes are not doppelgangers?
Because if they were doppelgangers, they couldn't exist separately as particulars.
Oh my God, that is just total bullshit, what you just said. Don't you listen, dude, you are one of the biggest bullshitters I have ever watched among the diversity.
Exists. That is not abstract. That is a concrete thing. They exist.
Do you know the difference between, do you understand the difference between a concrete unity versus an abstract unity?
I have no idea what you mean by unity. You're just making shit up. Versus incoherent.
Okay. All right. You know what? We're done. Okay.
Then
Listen. No, we're done. Listen to me. You are a scumbag. You are a deceitful scumbag. Listen to me. You are a deceitful scumbag. I am asking you legitimate questions.
Answered. Legitimate.
Okay. Listen to me. Listen to me. You are a lying scumbag. Okay. I'm going to call you out. This is going to go to YouTube.
In fact, T-Jump has been kicked out at least 3 times when Darth had control of the discussion.
Listen to me. You are one irritating person. Is there something? Mute his microphone.
T-Jump later gets his turn back in another setting.
No, he actually did by his definition, but Darth, your definition of God is wrong. Your presupposed definition doesn't apply, and so we don't need to adopt your definition in order to define God.
How is it wrong?
The fact that defining God as the precondition for all facts is just false. Like I can say that is your preconceived definition.
How is it false?
Because it's your preconceived definition, but we can just have a different
that doesn't make it false?
Your presupposition saying it's a requirement for knowledge is false. That's the.
I didn't say that. What I said is God in philosophy, unless we're talking about a creature that has superpowers. Generally, when we talk about God, we're talking about that which is eternal and the creator and the source of all possibility.
No,
now,
so that's
not. You may not accept that definition.
Philosophy doesn't.
But it doesn't. Would you not fucking overtalk with me? I've dealt with you twice before, and you're obnoxious.
If you say a fact, that's wrong.
Okay, listen, please don't overtalk me, or I won't waste my time. I'll just skedaddle then. If you're going to be an asshole, like you were the first 2 times I talked with you.
Okay, bye. Yeah, a fact. God is not the necessary precondition for all facts, and that's not a thing in philosophy. Presup is pretty much rejected by most philosophers, so that's kind of a joke. Anyway, who else wants to speak?
And how did the wise, mature 60-year-old handle all of that? About as gracefully as you'd expect.
This is why it is so odious, okay, talking with that autistic clown, okay?
Moving on to destiny. Now Darth actually shifts gears a bit here. With most people, the end goal is pretty clear. Steer everything toward Christianity. But with destiny, it's more like the goal is simply to win the epistemology minigame.
So can I rephrase my argument? Can I rephrase my argument?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so epistemologically, we cannot evaluate whether or not presuppositions are true or false. It is not possible for humans to do. For you to summarize that position, can I finish my statement, please? Sure. For you to evaluate that statement and claim that it's the same as just simply saying, I don't know, is an incredibly harsh characterization of what I'm saying.
Okay, do you know what's possible, sir?
using what we have agreed are reasonable ways
No,
to make deductions.
I'm not interested in. I'm not answering what is we. I'm asking you. Do you know what's possible?
Like truly, I don't know what the question means. Like truly, no. The answer is no. The answer is always going to be no to a question like that. No.
Okay, so you don't know anything is possible.
Correct. From a
good.
very foundational level, correct.
Right. So then why are you here stipulating anything if you don't know anything is possible?
Because I'm curious how you can make those same claims when you rely on
good.
the same presuppositions that I do. Sure.
Okay. So anything that you assert, you don't know that it's possible, right?
Okay. I want to hear your justification for your presuppositions. I've already answered yes a million times, sir. I don't want to talk about my system anymore. I want to hear you justify your presuppositions.
Okay, good. So I will explain to you justifying the Christian worldview momentarily, but I want to go on record here.
It's already been on record, sir. Nobody is hiding.
Do not overtalk me. If you overtalk me, I'll server meet you. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy. Right.
God, yeah. Destiny.
Now, I wanted to go on record here, and I hope somebody's recording this, that he has stipulated he doesn't know anything is possible. Okay?
Welcome to epistemology. Yes, that is correct.
So Destiny openly admits that he starts with foundational assumptions that ultimately can't be justified without circularity. Darth treats this like a devastating concession. But now watch what happens when the exact same standard is applied to him.
I just want to know how he can trust his senses. That's my basic question. Justify that presupposition.
So there you go, Darth.
How do I trust the basic reliability of my sense perception?
Yes.
In virtue of God has ordained that mankind, insofar as we don't have a major defect in our senses, has basically reliable sense perception.
How do you know you don't have a major defect in your sense?
Why? How would I know?
So are you telling me you don't know? You're basing your entire worldview on a sense that you can't justify?
No, I do know because God has revealed it.
How do you know that God is revealing it to you?
He revealed it in the Bible.
How are you able to read the Bible and trust the words that you're reading are true?
With my eyes, because
how do you know your eyes accurately give you?
I'm going to explain to you because the way that I know things is I'm starting with my absolute. My absolute is the Christian worldview as an entire package. Okay.
How do you justify your absolute of the Christian worldview?
By God's revelation.
Bingo. There it is. That's God's revelation being used to justify God's revelation.
How does God reveal things to you in a way that you know he's revealing things to you?
Okay, through his sovereignty and omniscience and omnipotence.
And how are you capable of perceiving that?
Okay, how do I do that? Through the way God constructed this world.
You're not answering the question.
I am answering the question.
How are you able to perceive the world?
How do I perceive the world? The way that God designed it.
How are you able to perceive what God designs?
How do I did it? He gave me senses. He made molecules.
How can you trust those senses?
How do I trust that? Because he has ordained that my mind doesn't even question the basic reliability.
Your mind doesn't question it, so it's unjustified. No. Can you repeat that? That your mind does not question your senses? That these are unjustified? That is exactly what you're saying.
Okay, no, I didn't say it was justified. Justification has to do with a justificatory path. I can know something even though I may not be able to articulate how I know it. We can know things ultimately because of the way God has ordained things. So, for example, can a child know certain things without knowing how it knows it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Does that child know some things without knowing how it knows it because there's some justificatory path?
Sure.
Good. So I can know things such as my sense perceptions are basically reliable because God has ordained me being made in his image that I don't even question the basic reliability of my sense perception. Now I question that I might be nearsighted or farsighted or things like that, but that is not the same thing as questioning the basic reliability of my sense perception. So I know that my sense perceptions are basic reliably because the way God has ordained mankind's sense perceptions and cognition to operate.
If you can presuppose that, then why can I not presuppose?
I didn't say.
You just did. You gave me a reason for why you presuppose it. Unjustified.
Well, when you say it's a presupposition, what do you mean by that?
A presupposition is something that is necessarily unjustified. You've told me that you're incapable of justifying it because you don't know the words or whatever, but that's you're telling me that.
Then those fundamental mental states do have a justification. They have a justificatory path in the way God ordained it.
And how do you know that?
How do I know that? Because he revealed it.
And do you understand that you're moving in circles?
Yeah. It's called epistemological circularity. Do you object to that in principle?
Not necessarily, but you made it sound like I was the only one that was circularly rationalizing my beliefs.
No. Here's the situation. Either you're going to be employing epistemological circularity or non-epistemological circularity. Now, when you are employing circular reasoning, yesterday. Was that epistemological circularity
Yes.
or non-epistemological?
When I
Okay,
say that
good.
I have presuppositions that are unjustified and I just assume them to be true on the merit of themselves, yes.
All right. But epistemological circularity has to do with your ultimate authority. Are you aware of that?
So, both of them acknowledge a form of circularity at the foundation. The difference is that Destiny openly admits his starting assumptions are ultimately foundational, while Darth argues that his circularity is different because it concerns an ultimate authority, what he calls epistemological circularity. But simply giving that kind of circularity a name doesn't, by itself, explain why it's philosophically acceptable while everyone else's is not.
I don't think I
If it
believe that's
doesn't,
true.
that's how I'm defining epistemological circularity. It deals
Okay.
with what your ultimate authority is. If it doesn't deal with your ultimate authority, then it is non-epistemologically
Gotcha.
circular. Yesterday, you were not appealing to epistemological circularity, unless, of course, you want to change your mind right now.
Notice that Darth is defining a category here, not yet defending it. He's saying that circular reasoning involving an ultimate authority is a different kind of circularity. But the key question is still, why should appealing to an ultimate authority make that circularity any more acceptable? That's the part that still needs an argument. Darth never provides that argument here.
No, I believe I was explaining something. Do you have anything else to say insofar
Okay,
as
do you-
justifying
do
your
you-
presuppositions? Otherwise, we're done with this discussion. Do you have any
Sir,
other way to
sir,
justify your
sir,
presuppositions?
Okay. No, the justification for anything ultimately that it conforms with the mind of God and how it has been revealed through God's revelation. Now, you stated earlier that
Can you
you
not-
don't
you're not
know
gonna answer my
anything is
question?
Well, what's the question? I'm not answering.
Can you actually justify any of these God is revealed as divine, whatever, without talking in circles? Can you admit to me that you have no justification for these
No,
presuppositions
the ultimate
so that we can be done with this discussion?
When one appeals to one's ultimate authority, it is inescapable, circular in terms of epistemological circularity. Now, do you object to that in principle?
No, this is what I just told you 5 minutes ago.
Okay, good. So you don't reject my invocation that the Bible is the word of God in principle. So
I absolutely do.
Okay. Well, what
Because
is
I don't.
your?
Or sorry, go
Now,
ahead.
hold on a second. Please don't overtalk me. And how is it the case that there are causal connections?
Because it's presupposed. Can I ask you a question? Do you think that
when you say it's
I don't want to play this for 10 hours. Can I ask you a question, or are you going to ask me a million more questions?
You're not going to talk over me. You're not going to bulldoze over me, dude. Okay.
I'm not. You're the one bulldozing.
You're not.
I don't want to run down this path, this fallacious path.
Okay. All right. Your server muted. Please do not overtalk me. Okay. Now I'm going to unmute you.
No.
You did that for me. Hold on a second. Let me unmute him. Now stop overtalking me. Now, you stated that your reasoning is the ultimate authority by which you reject the revelation of the Christian God. So your reasoning is the ultimate authority, but your ultimate authority depends that it is the case that there are causal connections. Now, do you assert that there are causal connections?
Am I only allowed to answer questions for the rest of the time you
Are
talk?
are you asserting that there are causal
All right.
connections?
I think I've proven my point that your
Are you asserting that
presuppositions
there
are unjustified.
Are you asserting that
I'm not
going to
play this game, dude.
Okay, goodbye. Thank you.
See you
Thank
later.
for your time.
Yep.
See, this is the name of the.
So his goal, and what I wanted to ask him, but I couldn't because obviously he won't let me ask him. But what his goal is his goal says that any argument that you build, it's funny, he can only do this as a server admin, right? This is kind of what this like bulldozer style. What he says is that any argument built off of an unjustified presupposition is necessarily unjustified. That's what his argument is. So as he asks more and more questions, what he was about to ask me, what he's going to ask is, sir, do you believe in causal chains? And I would say, sure. And he would go, okay, so you believe that things must logically follow? And I would go, sure. And he would go, well then, your very foundational presupposition is unjustified. Therefore, everything is unjustified, right? And he would keep asking those questions over and over and over again. But the problem is, and I couldn't ask as many questions, obviously, because his argumentative style relies on bulldozering the other person. What the thing is that his position is similarly unjustified as mine is, because none of us can prove that our senses are like real, right? We can't prove that if I read something or if God divinely inspires me or if I have a revelation of the universe, I can never prove to you that these things are real. We must engage in some level of circular reasoning. We can't prove everything, right? That's just the bounds of what we can do epistemologically. But he continues to talk so that he doesn't have to accept that for himself and then tries to make it sound like the other person is giving something that he doesn't have to give, right? Okay.
So those are the two approaches I found interesting. What do you think? Which one do you think is better for dealing with the argument? And on what basis do you justify that judgment? And what is your justification for that basis? And are you standing on a transcendental foundation for your claim that you have a foundation?
753 wonderful hits.
Here we go. Shut the fuck up. You're totally clueless, so stop with the shtick. Don't ever talk me, you're being rude. I'm old enough to be your fucking father, dude. Shut the fuck up.
All your favorites are here, in one spectacular collection.
You come into my room and mute me. Restore my mic, you fucking troll. Doobie's a fucking asshole I can't tolerate anymore. I've had to quit this server 4 fucking times before.
Digitally remastered and expertly rendered in high-quality audio. Never before has such a splendid compilation been put together.
So the problem with homosexuals is that God made male for females. The Bible is very clear. Don't be queer, don't be queer, don't be queer. Thank you.